Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Learn GSP with Mahesh. Today we'll explore how to export a custom image to Google Cloud Storage. Before we do this, let's understand why one should export a custom image to Google Cloud Storage. For that, let's have a scenario. So I'm a seasoned developer where I have a virtual machine which is installed with lots of softwares like Node.js is installed. I have few tips on GCP and I also have few confidential data. And lastly, I have Nginx also installed. There are lots of softwares installed in this virtual machine. Now I'm going on a holiday for 45 days and I want to get the lowest bill, but I still want to retain the content. So this is the thing. So the first option is very straightforward. Go and stop it. That's a straightforward option because when you stop it, you're not going to incur cost for your compute. The only cost which you need to pay is only your storage cost. If you want to get the details of this, just go to virtual machine, create a virtual machine, and you should be able to see the pricing information on your right hand side. In this case, I have provisioned a micro VM which is going to cost me $6.64 and 10 GB of persistent disk which is going to cost me half a cent. So that is the thing, and it is totally going to charge me this much. Now if I stop the virtual machine, this cost would be nullified. So I'm going to just pay 0.4548 dollars, like half a cent. That's what I would say, half a dollar, sorry. That's what I'm going to pay. So this is the first option, which should definitely work, very straightforward. But if I want to still incur lesser cost, I don't want to even pay a half a dollar, then what can I do? The simple and straightforward option is export this to your Google Cloud Storage. To show you how the pricing works, I have already opened my pricing calculator. So if you see here, if you retain the persistent disk of 10 GB in Mumbai, it is going to cost you 0.48 US dollars. But the same store persistent disk, if it is stored or exported to Google Cloud Storage, it is going to cost you only 0.23 US dollar, almost half of it. So this looks like a better option. Let's proceed with this option. Let's see how to achieve this. Before we proceed, I wanted to show you a small trick because we don't need this virtual machine for next 45 days. It does not make sense retaining it. So what you can do is click on the virtual machine, and there's a small setting where you can make retain the data but don't retain your virtual machine. There's a setting for that. Just click on the virtual machine, click on edit. Once you click on edit, there's an option which shows you to retain the boot disk. So it's not preferred to install any software in the boot disk, but for simplicity reason, I have installed everything. So what you can do is you can retain the disk even if the virtual machine is deleted. So you can use the setting for already configured virtual machine and you want to export to storage. So have made this. Let me click on save. The changes are saved now. What I can do now is because the disk will be retained, I can directly delete my virtual machine. For people who have not tried this before, just go to disks and you should see a persistent disk with the same name of your virtual machine. So that's what it shows. Green, it is in service. Now what we'll do is go back to our virtual machine and delete our virtual machine because we are not going to use this for the next 45 days. So that's the best practice. We have deleted it. So the delete is in process. The delete is successful now. If you go to the disks now, you should see the disk would be still retained. All good. The disk is now ready to use. It can be attached to any virtual machine. Now the next step is we need to create a custom image. As per this documentation, you need to create a custom image. To do that, go to your virtual machine. Under virtual machine, you have this image option. Click on create image and let's give a name like image export, and the source has to be disk. And when you click on the source disk, you will see the compute engine's persistent disk coming up, and click on create. So the custom image is now created. It is of 10 gig size. All good. Now what we'll do is the next step is to run this command which is shown in this documentation, gcloud compute image export, images export. That is the command which we need to run now. So let me provision my Cloud Shell environment. I have already provisioned it. So this is the command which we need to run. Gcloud compute images. The most important thing is the destination has to be your storage. So make sure you have a storage bucket. I have already created a storage bucket. And if you just click on the bucket, it should be empty. Currently, that's what it will show you. It's empty. And it has to be tarred and gzipped. That is the most important thing. If you see the documentation, they mention that it has to be in this format. That's good. Mention your custom image name, which is in this case image hyphen export, and mention the zone. This is also an important parameter. So let's hit enter. The process has triggered, and just for your information, behind the scene it uses a product called as Cloud Build, which is a serverless CI/CD process which is offered by GCP. So if you want to see that, go to tools. Under tools you will have the first option as Cloud Build. Open it in a new tab and you should see a process which has been started. So if you see, a build process has been just started just now. So if you go back to the screen, and you should see the process is going on. Let's wait for a minute or so. After all the prerequisite, it has started just the export process. That's what we see now. It's reading a few megabytes here. So let's wait for some more time. So if you see, it has almost read 7 gig out of 10. So the process is still going on. So the build process has been successfully done. We have exported the thing, and you can go to Cloud Build also to see that status. 4 minutes ago we started it. All good. So how do you verify it? Just minimize this, go to your storage, and you should be able to refresh your bucket, and you should see the exported image, and it will be of the same name which we exported. And why only 600 MB? Because the data which contains in that virtual machine is only with the virtual machine, with the operating system and the data, it is only around 600 MB, even though the boot disk is, the size itself is 10 gig. So only the data has been exported. Looks all good. Now what we can do is, we don't need this also, we can just delete this. So if you go to this project, you see under disk nothing will be there. If it is there also, we can just delete it. We don't need this. So we are totally cleaning up our virtual machine, the compute, and our storage. Nothing is there, everything is there in storage, Google Cloud Storage. That's what we are going to do. And if you see in the virtual machine also, nothing is there. It's a clean slate. Just see it. Let's double check it. Disk, nothing is there. Clean. Under images, there's no custom image. That's another thing. It's very clean. Now I'm going to be charged only what? Half of this. If you see in the pricing calculator, since everything is exported to Google Cloud Storage, it is going to be, I'm going to be charged only $0.23. That's the benefit, because it is stored in Google Cloud Storage. Now after I come back from the vacation, and if I want to restore it, what is the step? Just click on create, and instead of clicking the virtual machine, you can just create a disk out of this. You can just go to virtual machine, disks. Sorry, you should not click on disk. Instead of that, click on images. And once you click on images, now what you can do is create an image, but this time it is not from the boot disk, but it is from storage file. Mention that, and you can browse it. Your bucket will be there. Just click on it, and you should be able to export that tar. All good. Just make it as image demo, and create an image. Once you have the image, you can definitely import that when you're creating a virtual machine. I'm going to show you that in a minute or so. So from the storage image, the one which was exported in the Google Cloud Storage, we have created a custom image. You can see that it is of 10 gig. Now if you want, say for example, back from the vacation and you want to restore back, just go click on the virtual machine, and you should be able to create the virtual machine from that custom image. Just click on change in the boot disk, and you will have the custom image. So you see that image, select it and just give it as back to work. Let's enable HTTP because we had Nginx. So click on create. The virtual machine is provisioned back to work, and if you click on this, the Nginx should work. That indicates the softwares are restored. Let's SSH into it to see whether the tips and Node.js is provisioned or not. So the virtual machine is provisioned. I have SSH into it. If I see the tips are there, you can see the same tips. Good. And whether the Node.js is there, let's verify it. And my confidential data is there. So back to work, I'm able to restore all the stuffs easily. So this is the biggest advantage. Still, I'm paying only $0.23. That's the biggest advantage, and every advantage will come with always with some drawbacks. Couple of drawbacks which I've observed is when it comes to this exporting option, currently it is only possible to run only Linux distributions only. You cannot do this process for a Windows machine. So that is one of the drawbacks. Maybe in the future this could be updated. This is one thing. And another observation which I have seen is when it is doing this export option, it creates a temporary storage bucket with this name. And if you go inside that, you will see the same image retained there. So if you just go, click on the bucket details, output is one of the things where you can see the image. You see that? So if you just forget to leave this, it is going to charge you double it. So it will be like $0.46 you need to pay because of this temporary storage. So this is I'm not sure whether this is a bug or this is purposely done like that. So the best practice is delete this so that you are going to just pay only $0.23 only, not $0.46. Now if you go to your storage, you should see only your exported image. So that's the information which I wanted to share now. So now you should be enjoying your vacation and still paying only lesser price because the image is now exported to your Google Cloud storage. Hope the video was helpful. Please let me know in the comment section if you specific GCP concept. I'm happy to do that. Thanks for watching.